Bernard.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Jerry back with another episode of Jerry's 2 Cents. And today we're going to be talking about real estate, particularly buying a house versus renting an apartment. The reason I wanted to make this video is because I know a lot of us have been locked in our cribs with our housemates or our siblings, parents, and we're just tired of it. You know, we're ready to go, just pack it up and leave. I know that, you know, a lot of us, we got that one listing on Zillow for like $1 million that we're never gonna buy, but we got it saved on our phones. We look at it all the time like, oh, the bathroom nice, you know, the kitchen nice, but we never actually do it. No, but really though, I wanted to make this video because as a formerly licensed New York State real estate salesperson, I felt that it was important to impart any knowledge I have when it comes to real estate onto you all so that no one is making any financial mistakes that could potentially ruin your lives. So that being said, let's get right into it. Should you buy that house or rent an apartment? Well, the answer to that depends on a number of different factors, including how much money you make, the reason why you want to get the house, your credit score, where exactly you want to live, and we're going to get into all of that. But to start off, I want to talk about the types of people who should be getting a house and the reasons why those types of people should be getting that house. So, of course, a lot of us want to own a home. We want to have a big house with a pool, invite all the family over, have our barbecue, all that, right? All the benefits that come with having a house. But the first type of person who should be actually be buying a house is someone who can comfortably afford one. And what I mean by that is someone who has a 20% down payment and also has enough money on the side for closing costs, which is usually about 3 to 5% of whatever the selling price is. So for my New Yorkers and other people who live in expensive cities, I know you're paying like $1,500, $2,000 for your apartment, and you're just like, I could be putting this towards a mortgage. Like, why am I paying all this money? And while that may be true, you know, you gotta be real with yourself. You bougie. You know, so it's like when it comes to time to buy that crib, you're gonna wanna upscale a little bit more. So it's like that $1,500, $2,000 might turn into $2,500, $3,000. And then when you consider property taxes, maintenance fees, other homeowning costs, you might be looking at $4,000. And it's like, even if you got the money, because I know some of y'all are balling, you know, you want to make sure that what you're spending for your house is about 30 to 40% of your take-home pay. So it's like, if that $4,000 is like 60, you put yourself in a very stressful position because now you can't really save as much, and in the event of emergency, now you can really just find yourself in a pickle. Which we're going to talk about a little more. So that goes into my next point, which is the next type of person who should be buying a house is someone who is responsible and can keep 3 to 6 months of an emergency savings. If the pandemic has showed us anything, it's that everything that we know can just change in an instant. But as a homeowner, you have to be prepared for that because the government don't give a fuck.
You figured me out. You got me red-handed.
Homeowners still had to pay their mortgages month by month. So if you ever find yourself in a position where you don't have a job, you're still liable to pay that mortgage. And in the event that you cannot, that can affect your credit score, which can ultimately affect your ability to get a job, get a car, or any other type of loan. So you definitely want to make sure that when you're buying a house that, again, you are spending only about 30 to 40% of your take home, so that other 60 you can be using for leisurely activity, but especially putting money aside so that in the event of an emergency, such as potentially losing your job, you are still able to pay off that mortgage and just keep your credit standing good. Okay, so the last person that should be buying a house is someone who plans to stay there for at least 10 years. So I know that a lot of people in my generation, we can't sit still. We like to be here and there and back, you know, but buying a house for less than 10 years can be extremely costly, and let me explain why. All right, so boom. Say that you bought a house for $300,000 and you stayed there for 5 years, and over those 5 years, the house appreciated at a 3% rate. After those 5 years, the house would be worth about $347,000, which doesn't sound too bad, right? But now let's say that you sell it through a traditional realtor who charges about 6% on the selling price, or about $21,000. when you consider the fact that you still have to pay off that initial mortgage, you know, that $300,000, and then the realtor, now you're only left with about $26,000, which doesn't sound too crazy. Taking that same example, say you stayed at the same crib for 10 years. With the same 3% appreciation rate, after 10 years, that crib would be worth about $403,000. And even with the 6% commission rate, that's only about $24,000, where you would still net about $80,000. And I don't know about y'all, but leaving $50K on the table like that is crazy, you know? So it's like, you know, definitely make sure that you're there for the long haul, because there's a lot of money that you're leaving on the table just not staying there for long because you wanted to just have the quick flex. Yeah, I got my crib, you know, got my backyard and everything. Really make sure that this is something that you want to do for the long haul, or, you know, if it's just like a sell and flip, that's a different story, which we can get into another video. But really make sure that, you know, you can see yourself there for a while before buying that house. Before I get into why you should probably still rent an apartment if you are not already, I know some of y'all are like, okay, so boom, I get the crib, I stay there for like 10 years, 80K, cool. Yes and no. All right, so yes, you would have made that 80K, but you're not considering all the money you would have already put into that house through property taxes, maintenance, and also the opportunity cost of not putting that money in other assets such as the stock market or other types of assets which have been outperforming the real estate market. Say that you were paying about $7,000 a year in property taxes, maintenance, and all those other things within those 10 years, which would amount to about $70,000. Out of that 80K, your net would only be about $10,000. You know, as good as the 80K sounds when you consider all the other costs that you put in. Now consider, had you taken that $70,000 and put it in the stock market at an average of, you know, 8% appreciation, that money would have came out to about double after that 10 years, coming out to about $151,000. So really just kind of think about it. You know, why exactly do you want that house? I think that it's really important to first look at as a house as a purchase for whatever reason it may be, whether you want to start a family, you wanted to create a stable space for that family, and then, you know, think about it as an investment after, because while the upfront numbers seem all glitz and glamour, you know, when you really look at the net numbers, you know, there's not really like huge margins when it comes to that. So you really want to think about that in terms of why you're buying that house, and, you know, don't think about it solely as, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna put my money in there, you know, generational wealth, da da da. You know, really think about it, why you want to do that, and do the numbers. You know, if you need any help with that, I can refer you to some links down in the description. Alright, so after seeing all of that, I'm hoping that I already gave you the reasons why you should probably get an apartment, assuming that you're not one of those types of people that I mentioned. You know, as much as it is a flex to say, you know, I own my house, you know, it's even more of a flex to say, you know, I got more money than you. So that reminds me of this tweet. It was like, you get a scammer mad and they'd be like, oh, show me a band right now, show me a band right now. You could be the scammer, you know, like, ask your homeowner friend, you know, show me a band right now. They probably can't, because all that money is going into their house. So, you know, you have to consider the trade-offs. You know, you got money, no property, you know, but there's still ways to go about it. And that just goes into my next point, that, you know, a lot of people rush into buying a house because they think that, you know, whatever the money they're putting into it will come back to them, because getting a house is such a good investment. And while this can be true in some cases, you could end up getting into some really bad investments depending on the type of property you're investing in. And there's just a lot of other alternatives that you can do as opposed to directly buying into the house. You can invest in real estate without actually having to buy a house through a crowdfunded online real estate investment platform called Fundrise, which basically lets you invest in commercial real estate via real estate investment trusts, which is basically like stocks and mutual funds, but for real estate. And it basically allows you to invest money passively, just putting in money $100 at a time, you know, whatever works for you, and slowly but surely you're able to build out a large portfolio of commercial real estate that you actually own positions in. So I've had my account for about 2 years now, all while living at my mom's house. And I've had some pretty decent returns on my account. This year alone, I've made about a 14% return on my investment, and I'm still looking to continue to invest and hopefully make some more. So definitely you wanna look into that. I'll leave some more information about Fundrise in the description, but you definitely don't have to just put all that money down into actually buying a house. There's a whole lot of other alternatives that you can use, Fundrise being one of them, and there's some others that I'll list in the description box for you guys to refer to. Alright, so I know some of y'all are like, this guy's talking all this mathematician stuff that I don't understand.
Somebody ain't doing the math right.
And all this appreciation, real estate investment trust. I don't know none about this. But, you really really should. So I think that, if what I was saying wasn't help, I think that another great resource that you can use is the New York Times rent or buying a house calculator, which basically factors in all of those things that I was telling you, such as property taxes, insurance, and maintenance fees, and really just gives you a breakdown of whether that's something that you can afford. But, you have to remember that you need to be honest with yourself and really just see if that's something that would be comfortable within your financial situation and all the other factors that I mentioned. So yeah, you can find the link to that in the description below. And yeah, after saying all this, I hope that anyone who was kind of caught in between renting an apartment or buying a house has a better understanding of what can work for them in the long term. I believe it's important to understand that buying a house doesn't necessarily have to be this natural step in adulthood that we all make it seem to be. And while many of you watching this video might very well end up owning a house at some point, don't go broke trying to keep up.
Popping big bottles.
Really take your time with it and make sure that that's the decision that really works with you and your budget and your life situation. So that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and just thank you all for your support. I really appreciate it so far, and I'm looking forward to dropping more content and continue talking to you all. Let's go. Bow!